Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to this channel because stories like this are disappearing fast, and once this knowledge is gone, it may never return. Today I'm holding a coin that most people would walk past without a second glance. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't sparkle like gold bullion or carry a dramatic legend printed on the surface. Yet this small, solid piece of metal carries a story of power, survival, history, and hidden wealth. This is the South Africa 2005 or 55 Rand coin, and what you are about to hear may change the way you look at coins forever. For many men who grew up handling real money, coins were more than pocket change. They were symbols of effort. You worked, you earned, you saved. This coin comes from a time when South Africa stood at a crossroads, balancing its deep past with a future still being written. The year 2005 was not random. It was a period when the country was redefining its identity, its economy, and its place in the world. Coins minted during such moments often carry significance far beyond their face value. The 5 Rand denomination itself tells a story. It was created for strength and daily use, not decoration. The size, weight, and feel of the coin were designed to last. When you hold it in your hand, you feel that solidity immediately. This is not a fragile token. It is firm, balanced, and confident. Much like the generation that respects it most. On the surface, the design speaks quietly but clearly. South African coinage has always respected national pride, wildlife, and leadership. The details are not accidental. Every line, every symbol, every curve was approved, tested, and finalized by skilled designers and officials who understood that coins are messages passed through time. Long after documents fade and voices fall silent, coins remain. What makes the 2005 R5 especially interesting is not just how it looks, but when it was made. This coin comes from a limited production window compared to earlier mass circulation years. Subtle changes in minting techniques, metal composition, and distribution makes certain examples far rarer than people realize. Most were spent, lost, or worn down. Very few survived in pristine condition. Men who understand value know that rarity is not always loud. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. This coin circulated in markets, pockets, and tills, quietly living an ordinary life. But a small number escaped that fate. Those untouched pieces became something else entirely. They became time capsules. Collectors with experience know that coins gain power from 3 things: condition, story, and demand. This coin has all 3. The condition, when preserved correctly, reveals sharp edges, clean fields, and original luster that cannot be recreated. The story connects it to a nation's economic journey. And the demand has grown steadily as serious collectors and investors look beyond gold bars and paper assets. There is also psychology at play. Older collectors, especially men who value legacy, are drawn to objects that outlive trends. This coin does not depend on fashion or hype. It represents endurance. It represents a system that worked, a currency that was trusted, and a time when money felt real in your hand. What many people don't understand is how coins like this move from circulation to legend. It starts quietly. A few collectors notice anomalies. A certain batch, a certain finish, a certain year. Then auction rooms begin to whisper. Private collectors start competing. Coins disappear into vaults, never to be seen again. Scarcity tightens. Prices climb. This is not about quick profit. This is about ownership, about holding something that very few people on earth can ever possess. Men who have built businesses, families, and reputations understand this instinctively. True value is rarely obvious at the beginning. The South Africa 2005 or 55 Rand coin stands at that intersection between everyday object and extraordinary artifact. It reminds us that history does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it arrives quietly, disguised as something ordinary, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. As years pass, fewer examples remain. Metal corrodes. Coins are damaged. Collections are broken apart. But the finest surviving pieces grow stronger in value and meaning. They become benchmarks. They become reference points. They become legends. This is why serious collectors pay attention to coins like this. Not because everyone is talking about them, but because not everyone understands them. Knowledge separates the observer from the owner. If you are watching this and thinking about the coins you've handled, saved, or dismissed over the years, remember this story. Remember that value often hides behind familiarity. The greatest treasures are not always discovered. Sometimes they are simply recognized. And now, as promised, here is the figure that has turned this coin from curiosity into global conversation. The valuation that has stunned collectors and investors alike, placing the South Africa 2005 or 55 Rand coin at an estimated worth of $22 million. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay with me, because today we are diving into a story that mixes history, rarity, struggle, and the kind of value that turns an ordinary pocket into a treasure chest. And if you are a collector, especially one who appreciates the deeper journey behind a piece of old silver, you will want to listen closely, because the coin we are talking about today isn't just metal. It is legacy, it is identity, and it has become one of the most sought after pieces among collectors who know the power of a story. Today, we explore a coin that came from a place and time where every design, every symbol, and every decision held meaning. The 1954 South Africa 5 shillings coin. It is a coin many have heard of, but only a few truly understand. And for the men who grew up in the era when craftsmanship mattered, when silver was silver, and when a coin held weight not only in the hand but in the heart, this one speaks loudly. So settle in as we take a trip back into a world where this piece of silver came to life. Imagine South Africa in the mid-1950s, a country moving through major changes, shaping its identity, and striking coins that represented far more than money. The 5 shillings coin of that year brought together the old-world artistry of traditional minting with the symbolism of a nation trying to define itself. Minted in sterling silver, it carried the famous portrait of Jan van Riebeeck on one side, a figure tied deeply to the early European settlement of the Cape. On the reverse, the springbok antelope, leaping forward, stood as a symbol of motion, resilience, and pride. For older generations, especially men who admire the discipline, precision, and strength of history, this design has a character that today's modern coinage just doesn't match. But what sets the 1954 edition apart? What gives it the kind of mystique that still grips collectors today? The answer begins with rarity and ends with story. Unlike modern mass-produced coins, these were struck in limited numbers, handled with care, and built from real silver that still shines with a kind of glow most modern coins can't achieve. Many coins were circulated, many were lost, and many were melted over the years. But the few that survived in high condition are now treated almost like relics. When a collector holds one, they don't just feel weight. They feel history pressing gently into their palm. For the men between the ages of 55 and 65, this coin brings back memories of a time when things were built to last, when life was measured not in digital clicks, but in craftsmanship. It reminds them of days when their fathers or grandfathers might have carried real silver coins in thick leather wallets, when conversations about money always came with the smell of old wood and metal polish. This coin taps into that nostalgia with precision. It carries a kind of masculine energy, the tough and resilient kind that comes from surviving generations of handling, travel, and change. Beyond its aesthetics and memory, this coin also captures an economic story. Silver was not just decoration. It was value, the kind of value you could hold and recognize instantly. And because the South Africa 5 shillings coin from 1954 was built with real sterling silver, it still reflects wealth in a very physical way. Collectors who know metals understand that real silver has a voice when it moves. It rings. And that ring has become a sound of authenticity many people trust more than paper. Over the decades, collectors who chased down this coin were not just buying silver. They were buying a slice of mid-century life. They were buying an object connected to a historical figure, a national symbol, and a moment where design and meaning worked together. They were buying a conversation piece, something you could hold up in front of your grandchildren and say, "This is how money once looked. This is what craftsmanship used to be." And this is a piece of history that survived the test of time. Another reason this coin inspires so much interest is the story of its preservation. While many coins struck in the same period carried marks, scratches, and wear from years of circulation, the few surviving in pristine condition are unbelievably rare. These coins often lived quiet lives in drawers, safes, or old wooden boxes, protected unknowingly by people who simply forgot about them. Years later, when rediscovered, their shine remained. Their edges stayed sharp, their details still crisp under magnification. And collectors know that when it comes to vintage silver, condition can multiply value in ways that are almost unbelievable. Then there's the emotional side. When you hold a coin minted in 1954, you hold something older than many of the collectors themselves. It survived wars, economic shifts, political changes, and generations of hands. It has endured in silence, carrying with it a story that cannot be recreated today. For men who appreciate the past, especially those who lived through times when sentimental objects were passed down with pride, this coin represents more than history. It represents continuity, something that endured while everything else changed. And collectors today compete fiercely for the best examples of this coin. And the competition grows because every year that passes, fewer high-quality pieces remain. The best ones are already locked away in private collections, leaving new collectors searching harder, paying more, and dreaming bigger. But the true giants among them, the collectors who chase perfection and rarity, go after the upper tier. Those are the coins with flawless surfaces, mirror-like strikes, and overwhelming charm. These coins are the ones that drive auction rooms into silence and draw eyes from around the world. And that brings us to the breathtaking part of this story, the value. While most ordinary examples sell for modest amounts, the finest known examples, the rarest of the rare, those preserved with unbelievable care, have reached valuations that defy expectations. And for the perfect specimen, the kind of coin collectors call once in a lifetime, the current estimated top value stands at an astonishing $8 million.